Hi, I'm Ronnie. Let's talk about sensory processing difficulties. It's common for autistic people, and other neurodivergent people, to experience the world differently. Because our society isn't designed with these sensory needs in mind, these differences can cause problems in everyday life. So, why does this happen?
So you're born and your body is like consuming all of this sense data raw.
Yeah.
And then it learns that's crazy. We don't need to process every little detail. We only need to understand what's important or relevant. And that's enough.
So what does that actually mean in practice? What do sensory issues look like? Let's look at a clip from popular engineering video creator Mark Rober's Color the Spectrum fundraising campaign, because I'm both too lazy and lack the technical skill to create a demonstration myself.
I were having a conversation here in this park. I can ignore everything around me and just focus on your voice. But if I had autism, I would hear the ice cream man ringing the bell behind me, and the kid crying because he's not getting any ice cream, and the cars going by, and the plane up there, as well as the train in the distance. Not to mention all of the different smells and the fact that the tag on my shirt is kind of rubbing on my back. It's sensory overload.
Now, while I like this clip, especially the comment about the tag on your shirt, I had to cut all mine off as a kid, and I think the campaign did a lot of good, I do think this promo video has some issues. For more information about those issues, check out this video from an autistic creator about the topic. Why might this be happening? Is it something in the brain?
One of many theories for the cause of autistic people's heightened sensory awareness is that it's at least partially due to an abnormality in the brain's left hemisphere, permitting a vast amount of sensory details to enter the brain's awareness. Neurotypical brains may receive all the same sensory details, but block them from awareness.
An important thing to realise about sensory issues is that, like many things in life, they're not a binary. They can be better or worse for different people, or even for the same people on different days. Now that I'm an adult, I'm able to be in a bright, noisy environment fine. If I'm well rested, enthusiastic, it's somewhere I want to be, and it's not for too long. But if I'm not, that's where the problems start. From headaches to overstimulation, it usually leaves me tired out for at least the rest of the day. The National Autistic Society has made some videos that attempt to simulate sensory overload, so if you want to experience some empathy, give one a watch, preferably with the volume turned all the way up. It's common for autistic people to use headphones to help with noisy environments. This can often raise the question, why do you have your headphones turned up so loud when you're using them to escape loud noise? The answer is simple. I have control over the sounds in my headphones. I don't have control of the sounds in the environment, and that's what makes them overwhelming to me. Sensory processing can also relate to speech. Sometimes someone will say something to me, and even if I physically hear them, my brain just didn't comprehend the words they said, and I'll need to ask them to repeat, to their annoyance and mine. This one is especially common in neurodivergent people, so it's useful to make sure you actually have a neurodivergent person's attention before you speak to them. Light and sound are the ones everyone talks about, but it goes deeper than that. We have 5 senses after all. Well, technically we have 53, but let's keep this at primary school level. Touch is a big one. Even now, I basically can't stand to be touched at all, unless it's by someone I'm super close with. And even then, it can feel unpleasant if I'm not prepared for it. This doesn't particularly present a barrier to my adult life, but when you're a kid, it's a different story. When I was a little kid, any kind of touch without consent was a problem. Whether it was getting my feet measured for shoes or getting my hair cut, I wasn't having it and would resist with everything I had. I had problems with clothes too, only being able to wear very specific pieces and fabrics until relatively recently. And when I was a kid, I hated wearing shoes so much that walking on hard gravel or snow barefoot was preferable. It is possible to grow out of these things though. My opinion on shoes has totally turned around. I really shouldn't. I have enough. I have enough! Reactions to overstimulation tend to vary with age. If the stress from stimulation gets to be too much, it'll usually result in what's known as a meltdown. I won't go into it too much here, as the topic of meltdowns deserves its own video, but as a kid it may present like a tantrum, and may lead to punishments, when really that's the last thing the kid needs. If you have a meltdown, you genuinely cannot control it, and I think it's important to look at the cause. Adults are more likely to get the flight response in a meltdown as opposed to the fight response, so the best thing to do is often to simply remove yourself from the situation. That may get you in trouble in some situations in the professional world, but it's better than the alternative. I also want to touch on taste and smell. Smell isn't much of a problem for me anymore, but when I was a kid, I couldn't so much as walk past a fast food place without dry heaving from the smell of the oil wafting out onto the street. Of course, knowing what I know now, it's clear that was just my body's way of protecting me. My story with food is pretty unusual, I think. I used to eat a pretty wide and varied diet. I had things I couldn't eat due to taste or texture. I can't eat anything with cumin in it, and I've never been able to. If you take me out for an Indian meal, I'm ordering the plain chips. But I struggled with my weight for most of my life, and it was only in limiting my diet to just a few kinds of foods, just the things I like the most, that I was able to lose the weight. So maybe don't try to coerce people into trying new things. People know what their bodies need, and if that seems strange to you, that's your problem, not theirs. So, now what? Now you know about sensory issues, what can you do about it? Autism is a lot more than sensory processing issues, but it appears to be one of the most disabling aspects. The question is, does it have to be? I want you to ask yourself, why is a sensory processing difficulty considered disabling? Does it just mean that people who process the world differently can just inherently not do as much as neurotypical people? I don't think so. The social model of disability states if you let disabled people have a say in the environment, we will literally become less disabled. If we just ask autistic people what they need, be it in school, at work, or in a clinical setting, and listen, that will make the world a difference. If I'm not getting work done because there's a radio on, let me work somewhere where there's no radio. Sometimes it really is that simple. The aspect of sensory issues that, in my opinion, is even more disabling than the headaches and anxiety is the near chronic tiredness. It's well documented that autistic people get tired faster than neurotypical people, and I think the reason for that is overstimulation. You've seen the example I showed. Imagine that all day, every day, anytime you're not at home. It wears you down fast, and as a result, autistic people are less likely to have active social lives, as we simply don't have the energy. It's not all sensory issues and meltdowns though. It's important to talk about how our autism helps us and how it hurts us. Focusing entirely on one or the other will never give you a complete picture. I'm doing great in my accounting degree, I'm highly proficient in IT, and I have a general knowledge of a wide variety of subjects. I can't say I'd be able to do any of those things if I wasn't autistic. Accommodating us and our sensory needs isn't difficult to do, as long as there are people who care and have the motivation to do it, and the rewards for doing so are worth it. If you're an autistic person watching this, I want you to know that you have value, and people need to meet you where you're at to experience the full benefits of what you have to offer. This video was made in collaboration with Spectrum Management and Training and sponsored by Devon Partnership Trust. It's one of a pair, so be sure to check out the other video about stimming if you haven't already. I've shared my views and the views of other creators I enjoy, but the essential thing is to understand the perspectives and experiences of autistic individuals. Everyone is different after all. Thanks for watching, and I hope that your day has the perfect amount of sensory regulation, and that this video helps you relate to the autistic people in your life that little bit better.